Alright, once again, good morning and welcome everyone to today's webinar on Search Engine Optimization or SEO Basics to be presented by Shaun Ryan from Blackmagic Marketing. Just before we begin, we do have quite a lot to cover, so I'll make this really short, but for those of you who are new to our webinars, my name is Christine. I'm the Events and Membership Coordinator at Connecting Up. And in today's webinar, we are recording the webinar, so you'll be able to access it later on along with the slides. And I will send this information to you after the session. But also, if you do have any questions, we do have time to stop and pause and answer your questions. So for any questions, please type them in the question box, and we will address them as we go along through the presentation. So we won't be taking any verbal questions, so it's a listen-only mode webinar. Alright, I think that's basically all the housekeeping notes that I need to go through, and I will now pass you over to Shaun. Shaun, you there?
Yes, how are you going, Christine?
Okay, so over to you.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I think we're fine.
people can hear, can they type?
Yeah, they say yes. Good.
Okay, excellent. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Shaun Ryan. I'm an online marketer, as you can see by the photo there. That's me as of Easter this year. So that's how I look, no changes, except I've lost those sunglasses, which was a pity because they were really nice. Anyway, I am my company, Blackmagic Marketing, does search engine optimization, website development, e-commerce, online strategy, and we also consult for all types of businesses across the board. So we're very well versed in SEO tactics and how it's changed from when it started 15 years ago right up until today, and it's undergone pretty significant evolutionary changes just in the last few years, and it's quite difficult to keep up. So the focus on today's webinar will be exclusively on SEO. So the structure of this webinar I'll give you a brief overview of SEO for those of you who aren't sure what it is, just 5 minutes on that. On-site optimization, which is some techniques that you guys can do on your websites to help you rank, and then we'll take some questions on that, and then we'll do the bulk of what I would call SEO, which is done off-site, so things you do on the web outside your website, and that will be for the chunk of the webinar. We'll focus on that, and then we'll do some questions after that, because I expect you guys will have lots of things to ask. So part 1, SEO. What is it? SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and it is using techniques to rank your website at the top of Google. Now you see there's a screenshot here of the Google search interface, and the search term is golf clubs. You can see it up the top there, and you'll see that there's a circle in red and a circle in green. The circle in red is paid ads. They're Google AdWords. So that's not actually SEO related. You have to pay to be there. You pay Google to be there, and you get charged every time someone clicks on those on your website in that red circle. The green circle is the natural search listings, and that's what doing SEO over a period of time where your website will end up. And that's a really good spot to be, because you sit there for free. It doesn't cost you anything. You'll just get traffic every day, every month, every year. As long as you sort of stay in the top 3 to 5, which is where most people will search for a given term, you'll benefit from it. All of you, I'm sure, have used Google. Those 1 to 2 to 3 to 10, the first page, all change given on the search term. So what you see there is what Google brought up for golf clubs. If you typed in golf club, it's likely that those would be different, because Google sorts plurals and singular terms differently. And if you were to type left-handed golf clubs, left-handed golf club, you would get different results again and again and again. And this is just a bit of an overview of what I just stated there. The red circle up the top is Google AdWords. It's instantaneous. You bid on the search terms and you pay per click. SEO takes time. It's a little bit unstable because the Google algorithm is constantly changing the way it evaluates websites, but it's free to sit there. So just a bit of an overview on the difference between the two, because I think it's important to note the difference. AdWords is an advertising medium that hasn't really changed in 10 years. it's a pay-per-click, so you pay per click. Depending on the search term. For something like golf clubs, you might pay $1.50 every time someone clicks on it. For something else, I know, for example, that life insurance will cost you about $90 per click. So depending on the term, it indicates to Google whether that's a really profitable term for a business, and they'll charge you more for it. SEO, on the other hand, is free, as I've mentioned. It has changed a great deal since Google first began using its bots, or spider is the other word for it, to rank web pages. One thing to note is that Google ranks web pages, not websites. So you can often, if you're savvy, you can rank your home page, maybe a contact page, maybe a services page, and maybe another page on page 1 for the same search term, if the stars align for you. But it's worth noting that Google ranks web pages, not websites, and it's just predominantly the home page that gets ranked. So most people just assume it's a website, but it's web pages. And as with anything that can be managed by a computer, i.e. the search algorithm, the system can be manipulated to suit an agenda, and it became possible in the old days to rank any web page for any search term, and Google didn't like this one bit. And so the old way of SEO, Google ranks, and this is still done today, Google ranks web pages based on its backlinks. Now, a backlink is a link from another site to your site. That's what a backlink is. And Wikipedia is a great example of links. The words in blue, you can see them all over the place there. They're hyperlinks, which are backlinks. The difference, Wikipedia mainly links internally, so like if you click on golf ball or backspin, as I've got there, highlighted there, you'll go to the golf ball or backspin pages in Wikipedia, but it will link you to them. That, if they were to go to another website about a golf ball, maybe about a Titleist golf ball or something, that's a backlink. So clicking on that text will not only take you to another page, but when Google is spidering, looking at the entire web in code, as it does, it will see that blue, we see it as blue, it sees it as a HTML link, and it follows that to its destination website, and it makes a connection. And in the old days, you could build, if you had a website that was selling golf clubs, for example, you could build hundreds, thousands of backlinks like you're seeing there in the blue on other websites around the web, and it would be golf club or golf clubs, and Google would make the connection between that word and your website, and you would rank for the term golf club, golf clubs, and that's how the e-commerce boom took off in the early 2000s, mid-2000s. People were able to manipulate the way Google ranks websites by just building specific links based around a word they wanted to rank for, setting it up as a link, which if you use something like WordPress is really easy to do, and away you go. So in the old days of SEO, you would buy, request, or build your own links like the one you see in Wikipedia. And whatever the word was, that's what you would rank for eventually after a few months, and then you could stay there for years and just reap the rewards from the traffic that came through. And this was the days when quantity was higher than quality. So if you had, whoever had the more links would win the race, essentially. This machine gun approach no longer works. Google's made 3 changes to its algorithm. It's the big line of code that organizes the search, every search term. Panda in 2011 targeted content, and Penguin 1 and Penguin 2, which was March last year and June just gone, targets backlinks. And what actually happened, Google decided it was sick of people gaming the system, so they set up these if you like, warning criteria within their search algorithm to look for websites that has thin content. These would typically be your affiliate sites that might be peddling Viagra or something else as a sales letter to people just trying to earn a commission. And Penguin 1 and 2 targeted backlinks, and the way it targeted the backlinks was it looked for websites that had a greater percentage of unnatural looking words pointing to their website. So if you're, for example, if you're a site that sold golf clubs and you had 100% of your links were all golf clubs or golf club, that would set off a penguin. And what happens now is that Google doesn't count those links, or it doesn't count them all. They're less valuable to you. And the reason that it's done this is because Google looks at it at that 100% and says, well, this is unnatural. I think you're gaming the system. There should be a couple of click here links, or read more links, or golf as a link, or golf course, or golf ball, other terms related to golf that would naturally build up over the course of the website's lifetime, not 100% of the links about one word. So today in September, the SEO battle as we used to know it is over and Google has won. But this is not a bad thing, and I'll get to that very soon. Link building around your preferred search terms will not cause you to rank on the top of the search results for that term anymore. It might cause you to lose rankings for what I just alluded to with the over-optimization percentages of the links. But we can still get rankings. You just need to give Google what it wants. So there's two types of SEO to consider. There's on-site or on-page SEO, which is stuff within your website, and there's off-site, off-page SEO. So on-site SEO is restricted to factors on your website itself. And off-site is restricted to what is being done for your website outside your website. So on-site gets you in the game, and there is a report actually which I will send to you all at the end of the webinar, those of you who want it. That is something we use as a bit of I suppose a benchmark for on-site optimization, tips and tricks that you can do to really help your website. So that's everyone who's attended this webinar will get that at the end. And off-site still allows you to rank because there's still web search rankings, and it's quality of links, not quantity anymore. And Google actually decides what terms to rank you for. It's no longer about, I want to rank for golf clubs, so I'm going to build all these links about golf clubs. If you follow a natural link building profile, which we'll cover a bit in depth in the offsite section, Google actually decides based on your website what to rank you for. It's gotten to the point where it knows what you're about and will rank you for half a dozen terms without you really even doing anything around those terms. It's sort of gotten that sophisticated. So part one, the new way, on-site optimization. So what you need to do is really track certain statistics around your website. So the first thing to do is to get an analytics account, and it's free. You get it from analytics.google.com.au or .google.com, it doesn't really matter. Sign up, use the Google account if you've got one. If you haven't got one, you can go to gmail.com and get one for free, and those Google accounts allow you to use any kind of Google product. So you can use AdWords, you can use Analytics, you can use Gmail. There's quite a few benefits to having one of those. And if you've got a Google Apps account, which is about $5 a month per user, you get access to a bit more of their stuff like Drive and things like that, but that's only if you really need it. So you sign up, you follow the steps within the analytics interface, and you'll get a bit of code, which is gobbledygook to us, but to Google it allows them to see how people are getting to your website. So you paste it into your website's back end. Most websites or your webmasters will know what to do here, and it tracks your vital metrics. Sees where your visitors are coming from, how long they stay on your site for, where they've come from, where they leave, what page they leave from, and whether they hit your call to action page and whether they actually do your specific targeted action. And it allows you to see where there's holes in the process flow. So if you want donations or volunteers or something like that, by seeing where people jump off before they either donate or leave an email address or perform some call to action that you want them to do, you'll be able to see why. Number two, link internally. So link your website's pages to each other like you saw in Wikipedia. It's very valuable because Google links ranks pages rather, not links, ranks pages, not websites, a link from your home page to your contact page is still a backlink to your contact page. It doesn't matter that it's come from within your own website. Google still views it as a link. It's important not to overlink. That's why there's a 1 to 2 links per 100 words, 1 to 2%, and these still count as backlinks, as I've said. Number 3, appear transparent. So have an About Us page, a Contact Us page. If it's applicable, have a disclaimer in terms and conditions. Have trust certificates and a sitemap. These things not only make you appear legitimate to Google, but it also builds trust with your traffic, with the humans that are visiting your website. So it's a two-pronged benefit. Number 4, this is probably, if you take nothing away from this webinar, take this. Content is king. Content is king. It must be unique, it must be fresh, you must update reasonably regularly. I put monthly there, but it can be every 2 months, but just enough. And share content as much as possible through social media, which is very valuable these days. Not only from Google's point of view as seeing how natural you are by appealing to people on social media, but it also, social media is a great traffic source if you're using it cleverly. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube as well, which I'll get to. Pinterest, stumbled upon, dig it. There's a lot of little social platforms out there that you can use to bring in people to your website, and it also looks good to Google too. And leverage video. YouTube is extraordinarily powerful, and we'll cover that very soon. So get an analytics account. This is number 1, and you want to, once you set it up, it'll start to track from that point on. So you can log in the next day or the day after. There's 3 main pieces of information here that you want to keep an eye on. Bounce rate, average time on site, and average page views. The bounce rate is the percentage of people that just click off your website within the first few seconds, 5 seconds or so. So they might have arrived there by accident. They might have arrived and not like what they see. It might have taken too long to load. The number of factors that cause people to leave their website quickly. It could be their internet connection. But you want to keep that under 60%. You want to try and keep your average time on site above 2 minutes, and you want to try and keep your average page views above 2. These metrics, based on data that we have as sort of an SEO, if you like, community, is that Google sees these as a website that is legit and people are finding it valuable. So it will get you in the game. Google will start to really pay attention to your backlinks because it sees that people are staying on your site for a bit of time, they're looking around, and there's a lowish bounce rate. So that's important to them. So a couple of tips here. Use a video, at least 1.5 minutes long if you can. Host it on YouTube and embed it in your website. And what that does is it keeps people on your website for 90 seconds. And you want to keep them on there for 120 seconds. So if the video is interesting and directs them to a page at the end of it within your website that they need to go to learn more, for example, then you're probably going to get your 120 seconds, 2 minutes, and your 2 page views. And also video helps decrease the bounce rate because people tend to watch, particularly if it's interesting. Posting on YouTube means you, with your Google account for your analytics, you can set up a free YouTube account too. Upload the video. The benefit of this is that your web host doesn't host the video. Videos tend to slow down websites. If you host it on YouTube, it won't slow down your website because YouTube is the host. And Google owns YouTube. So funnily enough, if you have videos relevant to your niche, your NFP on YouTube about you, then that is only going to do you good because Google owns YouTube. Embed them in your website. That's something that your webmasters can do. It's pretty easy to do. You can actually probably YouTube how to do it. Everything is on YouTube. So if you want to know how to embed a YouTube video on your website, you can just YouTube it. And tip 2, link internally to increase your page views. So as I mentioned before, 1 to 2 per 100 words. link to your services page and sort of get people to follow a little bit of a link trail around your website. Make sure it's relevant, keep their interest, and that will help too. And this moves on to link internally. Link to internal and externally too. 1 to 2%, 1 to 200 words. Avoid broken links. So broken link is a link that goes nowhere, an error page. Fix or remove them. And do not obstruct the content flow to fit the link. So if it reads in proper English with good grammar, don't stick a link in there that just looks like it's out of place, because although Google can't really tell, humans can, and it can hurt the way they view your website. So tip 1, make the destination page relevant, and internally link using your primary keywords and other generic. Primary keywords would be your main keywords, and generic keywords is fine. They're terms like click here, learn more, read more. Your primary keywords can also be your brand and your website URL too. Use images to link. It might not drive users to another page because they're less obvious that you've got to click on them, but Google sees them as a link, and it's just a bit of link diversity. And there's a free tool there that you guys can access. It's at marketingninjas.com, which will show you, or actually we'll run a free search to check your broken links if you've got any. So appear transparent, gain your users and Google's trust. Put a sitemap. A sitemap is just a map of your website, so all the pages within it. Google likes those. It makes you appear transparent. Have your contact details very visible, and if you can, use trust certificates. So if you're selling stuff on your website, you should have a HTTPS protocol before the domain name. The S stands for an SSL certificate, and that's an encryption that protects credit card details. Good for Google, good for your users, because they want to feel like their credit card details are safe if they're donating or buying stuff. Use photos of yourself and your team. Builds trust, and if you can, link internally using your primary keywords. Tip 2, use trusted logos. Third parties, if you use PayPal, for example, if you use Microsoft, if you have affiliations with trusted companies that people do trust, it will help with people trusting the legitimacy of your NFP. And content is king. There's no such thing as too much. Keep it unique. Don't plagiarize. You take nothing else away. Do not copy and paste content from other websites unless it's relevant. I've had this question before where people talk about relevant articles that they've sourced and they found. That's okay. Just make sure your whole website is not copy and pasted. If you cite an article in a blog or on an articles page, that's okay. Google can't distinguish between something that's been sort of cited or copied and pasted very well, but if it determines that most of your website is unique and the content is generally unique and there's some articles there that are relevant, it will make the connection between where it's come from, and it will deem it to be relevant. But as a good rule of thumb, try and keep it unique. Keep it relevant to the page it's on. If you need another web page, create one and update it monthly. You can do it weekly, you can do it daily, you can do it more frequently, but I would probably say that you should be updating things at least every 2 months. Use a blog is a tip here. It's quick and easy, and it's fresh content each time. And upload photos and video, quick and easy, engaging, and you can share it using social media. Particularly if you use CMS websites like WordPress, you can integrate with social media widgets and YouTube widgets, and it's very easy to share things these days. Okay, so the 10 must-do items and 21 action steps to get in the game for on-site optimization is included for attendees at the conclusion of this webinar if you are interested. And that takes us to a question point. I think we're good for time. So Christine, have we got any questions about what I've covered so far?
Yes, Sean, we do have quite a few here, so I'll just start from the beginning. You mentioned about trust certificate and SSL. Can you probably go through or briefly on the costs associated with getting a trust certificate?
Yep, it depends on your web host. Your web host will probably have an affiliation with an SSL company. They're annually. You pay for them annually, and they can be as little as $50 up to about $350. It depends on your web host. It depends on the sort of SSL. There are obviously ones. If you're a bank, for example, you're going to have a really expensive one. If you're an e-commerce store that's selling golf clubs, you can probably get away with the $100 one per year. But you need to talk to your web host or your webmaster, whoever did your website, on the best way to do that, and they can then facilitate the installation. And what will happen is you'll go from a HTTP to a HTTPS, and that S signifies that you have an SSL on your website that's protecting credit card details and all those sorts of things.
Thanks. You mentioned also about YouTube. Why is it a better option than other video platforms?
Because Google owns it, and Google looks after its own. That's not to say that the video on other platforms like Vimeo isn't valuable. In fact, Vimeo is quite useful because it doesn't have ads. One thing about YouTube which is quite annoying is that you'll get ads often, and certainly at the end of the video it will bring up other videos that are relevant or deems to be relevant, which are two rather annoying aspects to YouTube, but the mere fact that Google owns it kind of means you have to sort of live with that. But certainly other video platforms will do the same thing. It will engage your users, it will keep them on the website, and you can usually host them on this, like for example on Vimeo, and embed it in your website just like YouTube. I just tend to use YouTube because it is owned by Google, and that's really the only sort of deciding factor as to why I use it.
Just briefly touching base again about the SSL and Trust Certificate. Can you get it added if it's not hosted, if the website is not hosted?
Your website has to be hosted, otherwise it can't be on the web. So I'm not quite sure what that question is referring to, unless they're sitting on like a WordPress.org or some sort of third-party platform where they've got a footprint on. But if you've got a website that's been built by someone else or a company, you will have a web host. Otherwise, you can't be on the web. It's like a good way to think of it is if you imagine the internet as being a library, the books in the library are websites. The web host is the shelves and the catalog. So people in the library can't find a book unless it's on a shelf with a relevant catalog number. Same with the internet. People can't find a website if it's not got a web host because it's not going to be actually on the internet. No one will be able to find it. So hopefully that answers the question there.
Thanks. We'll just move on to the next question. Does embedding a video on a site cause any issues for the bandwidth of the web host?
Yes, it will. Yeah, if you do it within your own host, it will eat into the bandwidth and eat into your quota of space, which is why I recommend hosting it on a third-party site like YouTube or Vimeo and just embedding it so your web host isn't actually bearing the load of that video, it's just showing it through a portal. And you see YouTube videos on websites all over the place. It's being hosted by YouTube and it's just being viewed through the embed portal. So that's the best way to do it without eating into your bandwidth and without eating into your space.
I would just ask one more question before we move on to the rest of the presentation. I will address the rest afterwards. Are links via menus as good as links within the pages?
Yeah, menu links are still links. Yeah, that's still links. Yeah. Anything that links from your one web page to another is a link because it's as you break it down. We see it as a visual thing that you click on, it takes you somewhere, but the bots view it as a HTML connection. So it's any link is anything that takes you from one page to another is a link.
Okay, well, we'll just continue on the presentation and we'll address the rest of the questions afterwards. Thanks, Shaun.
Okay, so moving on. Part 2, the old way of off-site optimization. Excuse me. So this is what I spoke about at the start of the webinar. You've got your website in the middle and you've got links from other websites coming into your website using those links that we spoke about with the Wikipedia example and things like that. The new way is still about links because that's how Google ranks its web pages. That's its patent. But now it's about quality, not quantity. Quality equals relevancy. Links from websites that are relevant to your niche are extremely valuable and worth their weight in gold. Social presence is vital for fresh content and for user engagement. And above all, links built must appear natural, as in not mass-produced by a bot. In the old days, you could enlist a piece of software to just go out and build links based on keywords you told it to do. And it would go out and build dozens, hundreds, thousands of links for you, and you'd rank. It was a set and forget system. That is dead. They no longer work. Those companies that have those bits of software are all but dead in the water because Google spots them a mile off now. It's gotten that sophisticated that it can tell unnatural link building profiles. It doesn't count the links anymore. So they're useless. But you should try to obtain only a few links a week in various different pockets of the web and on sites that are related to your niche. So what this will do is it's a slow burn. After a few months, you'll see results if you've built links on good, trusted external websites. And I'll get to that down the track as to sorts of websites you should be looking at. But certainly only a few links every week over a period of months will have a significant impact on your rankings. So where can you get links? It's probably a question that you're all thinking of. Blogs, relevant blogs. Leave an intelligent comment with your website URL as the signature. You guys might already be members of certain forums for your NFPs, possibly, blogs and forums. But make sure they're relevant blogs and forums and make sure it's an intelligent comment. And you can leave your website URL as the signature. And what that will do is it'll become a link. The URL, your domain name, will become the link. So it's a link on that blog or forum in the post to your website. So this has a twofold benefit here. It is it will count as a link, so Google will see it as a link. And B, people reading the blog, if this blog and forum gets traffic from people interested in your area, they might click on your link and go to your website, which is why I should leave an intelligent comment and not something like, hey, really like the blog. You know, if you make sure you're actually contributing, you've got a better chance of securing a human clicking on the link as well as getting Google to count it as well. Social stuff, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Create profiles for your organizations and link them to your website in the About section. Very valuable, particularly YouTube, because Google owns it. Relevant sites. This is quite powerful. If you've come across a relevant website, you can contact the webmaster or the owner for a reciprocal link. So you contact them and say, this is what I do. It's quite similar to what you do. I think it would be pretty nice if I put a link to my website on yours, and then I'll put a link to yours on mine. So the link from your site to theirs is actually helping them, but the link from their site to yours is helping you. So it's a mutually beneficial thing. And provided there's no real clash there, but even so, one link traded is not going to be the difference between life and death as to if they rank 1 and you rank 2. It's just quite a powerful way to get really relevant links. Article directories. Write an article and post it to hubs like ezine.com. Very powerful. And there's an extra backslash there after the HTTP I've just seen there. So it's http two backslashes ezine.com, not three. Ezine is free to sign up to for a certain amount of articles, I believe. And the more you post, you'll start to attain expert author status, which means your articles are shown to more people. So like the blogs and forums, people often click on the links in the article and they'll go to your website. And also the links will count when Google spiders Ezine and sees the article and makes the connection. Press release directories are very important too. Press release about your organisation or something, an event you've got coming up, and post to hubs like prbuzz.com. prbuzz.com is not free, unfortunately, but the mere fact it's paid means it's very highly moderated and it is valuable, but that'll cost you about $300 a year to be a part of that network. Web 2.0, WordPress sites or Squidoo lenses, and link back to your website. Those of you who have never heard of Squidoo, it's basically like a little, it's a site where you can create little lenses, and a lens is just a little web page about anything you like. And it is viewed quite, or it used to be viewed quite importantly by Google. There's been some debate over the last 4 to 6 weeks as to whether it's declining in its importance. But certainly WordPress is valuable too. And what does the link look like? Well, you've probably seen them before. There's some links to my website. That's URL. So that would be a URL link. The next one down is my brand. That's a brand link. And below that is a anchor text keyword. So those 3 links are all going to my website. They're all links. But Google would view them differently. It would view the top one as a URL or a domain link, the second one as a brand link, and the third one as a anchor text or keyword link. So your links should predominantly be weighted towards URL or brand links. So the first 2. Anchor text links, which is the third one, should not really exceed 1/5 of your total links. Some links should be generic, click here, read more, etc., etc. But I wouldn't go higher than 20% for your given anchor text links, because it might set off the penguin algorithm bots, which it won't count the link. So if you follow the steps on the previous page, submitting little pockets of unique content on articles, directories, blogs, social media, and YouTube, you're doing several things that will help your overall SEO profile and make your site appear favorable. 1, you're enhancing your online profile, which is always good. You're doing it in the white hat way, which is very, very important. White hat means that it's not done by bots. It's not done in an underhanded way, just putting out really crappy, thin content to try and boost your profile. You're actually putting out good content. You're giving something to the online community. That's the white hat way. And it's the best way to safely improve your rankings and also appeal to people that are looking for things in your niche. And you're exposing your website to thousands of people in various pockets all over the web via these links, which can lead to more visitors ultimately. And this can cause people to share your website among their networks, which leads to more hits. And the byproduct is that Google ranks you higher. So by doing things in a white hat way, by creating your own content and sharing it and trying to get other people to share it if possible, and also doing your own linking profile in blogs and forums and article directories and press release directories and YouTube, the actual byproduct of all this is Google ranks you higher. So it's beneficial to do it in a white hat way because Google spots it, it sees it, and it ranks you. So in 2013, it's more than ever about traffic. How you find the traffic source and how do you insert yourself into that conversation. So this is the new SEO. The new SEO is all about traffic, because if a website doesn't have any traffic, coming to it, it's as good as not being. What's the point of it? A website needs to have people coming to it. And there's examples every day I see of really bad websites that just happen to be getting a lot of traffic. And these websites inevitably do better than fantastically designed websites that don't have any traffic. It's a numbers game. So if you've ever seen Field of Dreams, the if you build it, they will come mentality for the web, it doesn't work. If you build it and do nothing, they will not come. If you build it and then work on your online profiling, you curate content that's original, unique, leverage social media, blogs, article directories, you're not only putting content out there where the traffic is, but you're also going to cause Google to rank you higher for various keywords within your industry. So that is the new SEO 2013. How do you find that traffic source? Blogs, forums, social media, YouTube, and how do you insert yourself in that conversation? So a blog comment, a forum post, an article posted, a video shared on YouTube and Facebook, a tweet about something relevant that you've come across, reaching out to synergistic companies on LinkedIn, all this sort of stuff, finding the conversation and inserting yourself into it. And this is what I've just been speaking about here. So where are they? The Google and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very good platform for finding other businesses that are quite synergistic to your own. Traffic. Google Grants for not-for-profits is a great way to leverage the AdWords interface. If you're an eligible NFP, you can use, Google lets you use their system for free, or pretty much for free. It gives you basically $10,000 of free advertising every month. So you can up to $10,000 every month. So whereas normal businesses would pay for the search queries and that are clicked on, if you remember back at the very start of the webinar, the red circle, you can basically sit in there for free. Any clicks you get, you don't pay for if you're a Google grant recipient, but you need to have certain, you need to adhere to certain guidelines to be eligible for that. B2B connections, business-to-business connections, let them find you. So put stuff out there and let people come to you. And you direct them to your website via links and video and also images too. And then how do you leverage them to a call to action? So you get people to your website, but then what if they don't do what you want them to do? This is a problem across the board in website or online marketing today. We get people ranked to #1. We get them a solid social media platform to expose them to social media, their business. They get traffic to their website. Analytics shows that there's hundreds every month, sometimes thousands. But they don't, the call to action for a bricks and mortar business, let's say a naturopath or a chiropractor or an architect, and also an NFP who might want donations, volunteers, someone to sign up, or a newsletter. That call to action doesn't happen. It becomes, okay, so half the battle, we've got people to the website. The other half, why isn't it doing what it's supposed to do? So your website's got to be compelling. Identify your unique selling point and leverage it. And this is very much a iterative process. People build their website and leave it, and when it doesn't convert for them, they sort of throw it out the window as a lost cause. But it's not necessarily a lost cause. You just haven't hit the psychological trigger points that your ideal audience is looking for. So you must find that little switch on your website that's going to get the visitor to do your call to action. And the best way that I've seen to do this is with video. Speaking to people about what you do and why it's important, why you need them to donate or volunteer, really appealing to the emotion side of things is the best way I have found across the board through all businesses to get people to do something. A picture tells 1,000 words, but a video is 1,000 pictures. And you just do this consistently, month in, month out, and monitor things. And eventually, after a period of time, it becomes self-sustaining until it sort of reaches a plateau, and then you might need to change it up. Something might happen, you might have a new offer, or people have become, it's a fad, it's a trend, and it dies off. It could be seasonal, summer, winter, spring. These things happen, and you've got to sort of go with the flow, so for want of a better word, really kind of be a chameleon and adapt with A, the internet, and B, your traffic. And that's how you'll remain at the peak of your industry, and you'll thrive and keep thriving. So I said, if you take nothing else from this webinar, let it be content is king. So I'm going to add to that. If you take two things from this webinar, let it be content is king and YouTube. It's owned by Google. It has more daily hits or searches than Google, and there's over 75 hours of video uploaded every second. And it's very easy to set up a channel using your Google account, upload videos, in MP4 format is the best one. Put your website in the About section, which is a link. Research similar videos to your own in similar niches and subscribe to them. And then you'll be able to comment on relevant videos, and what actually will happen is YouTube will use your channel as the signature in that video. So let's say, for example, you're an NFP that centers around, let's say, child abuse or orphans, and you subscribe to the World Vision YouTube channel. This is quite a crude example, but it'll get the point across. And let's say this particular video on this World Vision channel has 1 million views on it, and it's been up for a few years, so it gets a couple of dozen views a day or something like that. If you put an intelligent comment on that video and it signs off with your channel, people are watching this video and they tend to scroll down and look at the comments if they're available. If you leave a good comment, there's a link there to your channel. People might click on that and go and watch your video. If they like your video, they will probably seek out your organization. Certainly you've got a better chance of, and this is putting yourself in the conversation, you've got a better chance of securing a visitor from someone who's following this link trail of relevant videos than if you comment on a golf video or something that's completely irrelevant, because you're not very likely to hit upon someone who is passionate about golf and also really passionate about orphans. You might, but it's highly likely that you won't. And you can also contact the channel owner and request a link reciprocation between videos. This has been, we've used this quite successfully. In the World Vision example, I doubt whether you would get a link from them. They're just too big. Same with things like BBC and CNN, they're just too big. You would need to sort of contact someone who is a channel owner, an individual person or a small company, and do a link swap with them. That works quite well because it's a link to your website and it's on YouTube. Very powerful. And I think that brings us to the end, and we've got 10 minutes left, so that's good. It means I've stuck to the time frame. So Christine, let's open it up to the last 10 minutes of questions.
Great, thank you. The first question that I think was quite interesting was, do other search engines use the same ways as Google to rank pages?
Yeah, essentially yes. Most of them tend to follow Google though. Yahoo and Bing certainly do. There is a new search engine that I've been made aware of called DuckDuckGo, which has come out, and it makes the claim that it doesn't store your search results, whereas the others do. So it's a bit of a sort of, I suppose, giving the finger to these big search companies that hold onto your data and then use it for advertising purposes and things like that. But certainly Google has the lion's share. About 70% of the search volume is Google, and then Bing and Yahoo take the rest. Although there is discussion amongst my peers that is starting to even out a little bit. Whether it does or not remains to be seen, but YouTube itself is becoming a pretty massive search engine as well, because video on how to do things is quite powerful now. So it certainly has the lion's share, and the others sort of follow suit. So they tend to have the same sort of, no one really knows how these algorithms work. All we've been able to do is reverse engineer them. And we know that Bing and Yahoo follow Google. So Google is the leader in the industry.
Thanks, Shaun. You mentioned a few times about blog and content on the website. Do you have any recommendation on how often you should update this? Like someone said that they heard you must have at least 52 newsworthy stories in about 12 months. Any thoughts on that?
This is for blogging?
Blog and news content.
Yeah, look, it's 52 over 12 months would be sort of one a week. It depends on the size. I mean, I would certainly update things monthly. I would certainly do something to your website monthly to change it. It might be a 400-word article. It might be a blog post with a link to something. It might be a new video. But I would try and do something within reason every month on your site. Just because every time Google comes along, which it tends to do every 2 to 4 weeks, it's going to see fresh content. And that's good. Fresh content is good. Even if you're getting your hands on other content as well that's relevant to you, you can put it on other things like social media or free article directories and link it back to your own website. It's still kind of a holistic white hat approach to creating content that's new, unique, and the connection we made. So I would certainly try and do something every month.
Thank you, that's a good tip. Steve was asking where can you embed the Google Analytics code into the site if they're using WordPress?
Most WordPress themes will have something in the back in your somewhere towards the bottom down where your permalinks are stored, and often within the theme actually itself. If you've bought a theme, within there it'll have a paste analytics code here. And you paste it into the box, click save, and away you go. So it's pretty straightforward. Depends on your theme. It depends on whether it's a generic WordPress theme or whether it is a one you've paid for, or whether it's been custom built. So you'd have to probably talk to your webmaster there to find that out. But certainly if it's a custom built theme or a paid theme, there will be a spot within the theme itself in the theme options to paste the analytics code there.
Nicola just added SEO words to their WordPress site via the youre plugin, but they didn't notice any difference in the Google searches. How long does it take to take effect, or did they do something wrong?
No, I mean, installing any kind of plugin for SEO it's not going to, you're not going to rise up to the top with any sort of great speed. They are just really there. To be honest, I think a lot of those plugins are just there as sort of sales points. I don't really see a lot of benefit in them in that they don't really, they're not going to cause you to rise up on their own. You're going to have to do your external backlinking as well. They do sometimes help with stripping the heavy things off the website, which can help with the on-site factors that I spoke about earlier. Certainly it might help your permalinks, which is the how your pages are viewed by Google and whether it shortens it. It also might help with your meta descriptions and metadata with your images and things like that that appear that humans don't really see but that Google looks at. But on their own, those SEO plugins for WordPress are not going to cause you to rise to the top of Google in anything that I've seen.
Thanks. Does linking to too many external websites actually push you down the Google rankings?
No, you'll just be helping other people achieve rankings. but that is quite natural. If you have external links to it, all it does is look natural, so it's not going to hurt you. It's going to help other people, but it's going to make you appear to look more natural. One thing that I should have mentioned that I haven't is there is a specific, Google assigns a ranking to every page it visits. It's called PageRank. And the higher that PageRank, the more valuable a link on that page is. So, for example, a new website built yesterday will have a PageRank of nothing. PageRank of non-existent, it's 0. Sorry, it's not even 0, it's NA. BBC, CNN, Wikipedia, Google itself have a PageRank of between 8 and 10. So what you want to try and do if you're looking for blogs and forums and things like that is try and get links off onto these websites that have page ranks of between 1 and 4. And they're very powerful. The higher the number, the more powerful they are. Now the way to find out what a page rank is, there is you can type in. So there's a little just PageRankChecker.com. It's probably the best one. I think that's the URL. So you go to PageRankChecker.com and type in the website that you want to get the link from, and it's going to tell you what its PageRank is. Having said that, it's not a big deal if you are just getting links on PageRank NAs and zeros, and ones, which most websites are. It's not going to really make or break you, but it's nice to get a couple of those 3 to 4s and even the odd 5, because it's just sort of going to account for a nice sort of punch, if you like, for your overall link profile. The same is said for YouTube videos. They're all got different page ranks, so if you can get a link on a YouTube video that's a page rank 4, then it's pretty valuable, particularly if it's a relevant link.
So does more traffic flow to a web page boost its ranking according to Google, basically?
Not that anything I've seen. It's a chicken and egg question. It tends to be that the traffic will flow if the rankings are there and you're doing good link building in spots where the traffic is. But if you do that, if you put links out there where the traffic is and people are coming to your website because of it, then the rankings come as well. So it's, in the case of SEO these days, that's very much a chicken and egg question. So if you do build some links via unique content and put it where traffic is, traffic will come to your website inevitably, but you'll also rank, and then more traffic will come. So it's kind of a self-sustaining thing if you tap into these pockets. So I would say that just start the SEO with putting unique content out there, getting little bits of traffic coming from wherever it is you're putting it, and then your rankings will start to come through. So that would be my take on that question.
Thank you. Just probably second to last question that we can cover today, and the rest we will address via offline. Are keywords in the metadata still useful to search engines? And what exactly are tags? Are they just another word for metadata keywords?
Yeah, look, they are. It's nowhere near as valuable as they used to be, but it's still part of your sort of on-site housekeeping. Tags are meta tags are quite similar to, well, you've got alt tags, which is images. That's what an image is. Meta tag and meta descriptions are, when you type something into Google, if you're using Chrome, which is what I use in, I think, Firefox too, you get a little description about that website. That will help. It'll help with Google looking at that website as being legitimate, and people have put the time and effort into, talking about what it's about in the metadata. But it will also give a human a chance to read 1 or 2 or 3 lines about what it's about, and they might click on it. So it's worth doing just for the sake of it's beneficial across both camps. Google's not going to discount it if you don't have it, but it definitely helps you.
It's just as I said, the last question that
humans will.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm just going to say that humans will see those little descriptions too, and it might cause them to click.
Great, thanks. How do you tell how well you're doing in Google? Is it as simply as searching, entering your search term into Google and seeing where your page ranks against it? Or is there another way?
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Particularly if you're building, your 20% of your links around a specific keyword. There are websites that have free things where you can type in your website and it'll tell you where you are. They're not, they're reasonably accurate, but paid software is the best way to do that. So for a free solution, I would just type in Google rank checker or where is my website ranked, things like that into Google, and there'll be websites that will come up that will actually, you can type in your website and it'll tell you where you're sitting. Typically, those software is the best way to do that because it sort of measures the ebb and flow over a period of time. You can see how you can see graphically how you climb and fall, and often that might correlate to something you're doing. Like if you're organically building links quite naturally, it'll be a steady climb. But if you, and we saw this with analytical data, when Penguin 1 and 2 hit, people got knocked off page 1, their traffic just dropped. It just plummeted. So you get these sorts of, you can sort of, it's the trailing indicators. You can see based on graphical data how people are finding your site and how your rankings are going. But certainly, I would try the free tool, but software is the best way, I would think, to do that. But just, you can always Google it.
Thanks, Shaun. We do have quite a few other questions that I will probably just get them addressed offline, given we have reached the end of the webinar, and I will probably like to end it here as well.
I am happy to stay on for a few more questions, Christine.
Oh, okay, sure. I just wasn't sure because, Shaun, for those of you, Shaun has just come back from overseas. I'm not sure about the jet lag thing. So, all right, if you're happy to stay for a little bit more, just a few questions here.
Yeah, I'm fine. If you just top up my water, I'll be back in a jiff.
Thanks. We'll be back shortly with a few more questions.
Okay. Talking myself hoarse here, but that's good. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
We're good to go.
Great. Our webmaster just built a new website, but they didn't create a sitemap, terms and conditions, disclaimer, etc. Are these key in the SEO, and should those be included in building a website?
Yeah, if you have terms and conditions and disclaimers and things like that, I would, because it makes you appear more legitimate, and it also makes people feel like they are compelled to trust you. If I'm on a website, for example, and I want to buy something or donate something and there's no terms and conditions or disclaimers, I'm probably not going to do it. And the same goes for the SSL certificate. If money is changing hands and this site isn't encrypted, I'm probably not going to do it because I don't want to run the risk. It's just sort of the psychology behind doing stuff online.
So you mentioned again about SSL certificate. Is there a reason to get SSL certificate if you don't sell anything from your website?
No, not really, because there's no. It's there purely to sort of encrypt data. So if you're not selling anything, then you don't need it. It's probably an overhead you can afford to do without. The only benefit to having it would be the trust seal. So you get a little seal saying this site is secure, and it's again a psychological thing. But if people aren't donating through your website or no money's changing hands, it's an overhead you can probably do without.
You've mentioned before about a couple of steps in terms of SEO. So how long does it take after following these steps to get the message out and to see the results?
At the moment, we're seeing 3 to 4 months. And then it's just a rinse and repeat process. So it's a sort of a steady climb to certainly page 1 within 3 months, and then the last gasp, or the last bit of the marathon, if you like, which is getting to the top 3 to 5, happens sort of in the last month, pretty consistently across the board. Sometimes it's earlier, sometimes it's later. So it really, it depends on how competitive your niche is, how many other people are trying to jostle for rankings, and whether you're competing against people who are doing good SEO practices, which, to be honest, a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are still stuck in the old ways. So it's, I sort of say a 12-week lead up, just so you can, just so there's an awareness of what's involved, rather than sort of saying it'll be 6 weeks and it's not, because then it becomes a case of, well, we were banking on being number 1 now and X, Y, Z. So usually 3 months, 3 to 4 months is what we find.
Great. So Tom is asking, what is pinging a website, i.e. ping testing?
Ping testing is, I believe that if was this Tom? Sorry, was his name Tom?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Yeah, Tom. Yeah. I think, Tom, what you're referring to there is it's your website speed, loading speed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it would be how quickly your pages load, I think, is what you're referring to there. And yeah, the quicker it loads, so the quicker your ping speed, the better, because Google, when it checks every page on the web, it takes, I don't know how long, I don't even know how many web pages there are these days, a couple of 100 trillion probably. When it goes and checks all them, the quicker it takes for Google to check the page, the less it costs them figuratively in time. So if your website pages load quicker, then you get sort of a bit of a pat on the back from Google, like, hey, these guys are cool. They're not clogging up their website. So that's good from Google point of view. And from a human point of view, your website loads in under 5 seconds. You're less likely to get people clicking off, which hurts your bounce rate and all kinds of things. People are impatient these days. I'm one of them. The website doesn't load quickly, then I'm gone. I'll go to the next one. So that's the reason for a ping test.
So if you don't have access or the ability to generate much video content, are there any alternative social media you would most recommend to boost SEO, such as Twitter or Facebook or something else? I mean, you talked about blog and stuff before, but in terms of social media?
Yeah, look, Facebook and Twitter, LinkedIn are really good. Pinterest, which is an image sharing platform. With video, you don't need a huge big production crew to do anything. I've seen people create like PowerPoint presentations about their organization using just images, and they create a video from that. And there's free software that'll do that for you. The names escape me, but you can Google free video software creation, and you basically, for example, this presentation I've just gone through, I could turn that into a video, and all it would do is just sort of slide through within the YouTube platform. It's still information. It's just not, I'm just not there standing in front of a white or blue or green screen with a big production crew in front of me. So all it will do is just cost you your time to knock something up, and if it's to 2 minutes, you probably only need a dozen or so slides, things like that. But certainly, yeah, Pinterest for images, LinkedIn for B2B connections, Facebook and Twitter for, I suppose, emotively tapping into something that might go viral if you're savvy enough. There's also a couple of ping platforms, and this is not the ping for page speed. This is the ping to sort of give something a tick, or say you've viewed it and you like it. Sort of, I suppose, dig, which is D-I-G-G, and stumbled upon, which is stumbled, but no ED, so it's S-T-U-M-B-L-D, upon, a couple of others. But there's, every day it seems there's more platforms popping up where people can sort of share stuff and promote stuff. So it's really comes down to how much you want to devote your time to doing it. But the main thing is to find the traffic. So the big five are Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and LinkedIn. They're the big five that I would.
Great. Just moving on to, again, going back into news items. If you're creating new items that sit on different pages, does this impact on SEO as they're all on different pages? Or are landing pages the most important in terms of unique and changing content?
Look, your landing page should be engaging, definitely. So whatever page you're directing people to with stuff you're putting out there, if it's articles, if it's posts on Facebook, if it's blog posts, whatever it is, the landing page is probably going to be the page where the call to action is. So that needs to be engaging. If you are putting other stuff just because it's relevant to a particular web page on your website, then make sure it's on the relevant page, because that's only going to help your on-site along every fortnight and has a look and sees you're adding things to it. That's going to help you, but certainly make your landing page relevant and make it engaging for whatever it is you're trying to get people to do on that page. So I hope I've answered the question there.
Thanks, Shaun. Toby works in the education sector, and in the education sector, YouTube is often blocked in schools. Would it still be worthwhile posting content in YouTube anyway, even if it is mainly used through Vimeo?
Mainly used through Vimeo. So is Vimeo not blocked, Toby?
I'll get Toby to answer that. While we wait for that, I will just quickly ask a question about bounce rate. Someone has an intelligence search that bounces the seek function to an external provider, which gives them a false bounce rate. Any thoughts about overcoming this? Because it can happen on any page.
Can you ask that question again? I missed the start of it. Sorry, Christine.
Yep. See, it's about bounce rate. Someone has they have an intelligence search that bounces the seek function to an external provider, which gives them a false bounce rate. How can they overcome this?
Oh, that's a good question. I've never been asked that before. Can you maybe get the person who asked that question to email it to me in writing, and I will put it to my contemporaries and see if they've not come across the same thing, and we'll see if we can't give them an answer.
Sure, thanks, John. So Toby has got back to me, and they said, yeah, Vimeo are generally not blocked.
Right. Okay. I'll try and answer without talking to Toby. I'll try and answer the question across the board here. YouTube, you can do both platforms. Would be my answer. If Vimeo is not blocked, have the video on Vimeo and have it on YouTube too, because YouTube will appeal if it's relevant to education and it's beneficial to wherever it is you're doing within the NFP part of education. Cater for both. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah. I think he was just wondering.
It can be the same video. It can be the same video. You don't have to create or curate different videos for different platforms. You don't need to do that. You can just have the same video.
Yeah. So basically, uploading the same content to YouTube can help with the rankings.
Yeah. YouTube's kind of where Google was 6 years ago. It's sort of very easy to rank. And the other thing is you can rank videos in YouTube too. If your video is good and you're commenting, so not good. If your video is relevant and you're commenting on relevant other videos within the YouTube interface, then your video will start to rank for a search term, just like it does in Google. And that can be a really, really powerful traffic source, because if something's getting a couple of hundred searches a day in YouTube and your video is up there, that's just another traffic source. People they watch your video and they go, oh, okay, yeah, that's really interesting. I'm going to see what these guys are about. So even if YouTube is blocked in your organization, or you can't sort of leverage it where you are for whatever reason, it can still be a really useful traffic source externally if you get videos ranked by sort of commenting on relevant videos and doing a couple of things that I alluded to earlier in the webinar.
If you use bit.ly links, does this harm the value of backlinks?
I don't think so. I've not seen that happen across the board. I've been in a few webinars where I've been a participant, not the presenter, and that question's come up, and it's not. There's been no real evidence to suggest that it has. But I can double check for this person if they want to email me their question like with the previous one. I'll put it to my contemporaries and we'll get them an answer that's a bit more definite.
Thanks, Shaun. Just a few last ones. Our site's navigation is JavaScript menu, which displays down the left side of the screen. Does this also get picked up by the search engines as links?
Yeah, it should do. It should do. Yeah, I would think so. The other reason for your links between pages, I think I'm assuming you're talking about here. What you should do is have these links to other pages above the fold, and what that means is the point of the website where you've got to scroll downward as a user, have your links above that point, because that means they're kind of invisible, and once people hit the website, and they might not scroll down to look for them, and they might click off, so it can hurt your bounce rate, your time on site, and your pages viewed. So all links that are internal, navigating around the site, make them visible if they're on the left, the right, the top, above the fold. But yeah, JavaScript should be fine.
Thank you. Just our last question here. Candy was checking their site ranking and it's 4 out of 10. So if they do the SEO right based on all the information they gained from today's webinar, they can aim to get a little higher. What would be a good probably goal?
So they're ranked 4th?
Yep, 4 out of 10.
Oh, so yeah, number 4 on. Yeah, certainly. If they're number 4, they've got a pretty good base for improving on that, particularly if they haven't. I don't know. I'm not sure how much SEO they've done, if they've done any, but if they're sitting at number 4, certainly doing some white hat SEO in terms of articles and YouTube and some social stuff would certainly help them. Yeah.
What do you think would be a good aim?
Oh, always aim for number 1.
Oh, okay, great.
Always aim for number 1. I should mention, and this is figurative data. Number 1 in Google gets about 40% of the search volume for that keyword. So if you break it down to some numbers, let's say a keyword gets 1,000 searches a day. 700 of those, so 70%, will go to the natural SEO organic searches. The other 30%, 300, will go to the ads, the AdWords. Out of that 70%, 700, 40% of that, thereabouts, will click on number 1, 20% on number 2, 10% on number 3, 5% on number 4, 3% number 5, and it sort of halves its way down, and the top, like 7, 8, 9, 10 gets sort of the last 2%, whatever it might be. So to get the lion's share, you really should try and aim to be in the top 3. Certainly number 1 would be ideal. I would think if you're number 4 and you get to number 2, you probably see definitely a spike in the amount of visitors. Still there, Christine? Okay, if people are listening, I think we've lost Christine, or perhaps the webinar has...
Ah, sorry. I thought I unmuted myself. So I must be talking to myself then. I was just saying, yeah, thank you so much, Shaun, for the presentation. We've had a few comments from people saying that it's been very informative, so thank you for taking the time to present to us today, especially after your travel.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate it. And for those of you who had questions that will get followed up upon, we'll send email directly to Shaun and he'll get back to you. And thanks to everyone for participating and for all the questions. I'm sure it has made the webinar a lot more informative for everyone as well. So enjoy the rest of your day and we'll see you again shortly. Thank you.